So can I start?
Yes.
Vanakkam Chennai. எப்படி இருக்கீங்க எல்லாரும்? Oh my god. That's super. So when I said Vanakkam Chennai, you must thought of the movie Vanakkam Chennai. Flash in your mind for a second. Yes? The music, joy, Chennai vibe and what not. But today's theme will be slightly different. Instead of a romance comedy, we'll be talking about climate drama and sustainability action. And in this story, we, the chartered accountants, are going to be the superheroes. Warmest greetings to the members, speakers, and my dear friends. I'm Surbi Lakhotia, and I'll be presenting on the topic ESG Reporting, Chartered Accountants' Role in Reducing Carbon Emission and Global Warming. So let me ask you a simple question. When we read an annual report, what do you look at first? Any stock market investors? Okay, so basically we look at revenue, profits, business model, industry outlook, cash flows, and so on. We scan the numbers and the charts and we declare, yes, the company is doing great. But there's a flip side. Just because a company is showing rising profits or it is financially stable, it may be silently attacking the planet. It may be causing harm to the people. And that's when a new lens comes in, a lens beyond EBITDA and PAT, a lens beyond balance sheet and market caps, a lens called ESG, environmental, social, and governance. ESG asks these three powerful questions. Number one, how responsibly are you treating the environment? Number two, how fairly are you treating the people? And number three, how ethically and transparently are you running your business? ESG is not just another trend, or it is not a compliance checkbox. Let's understand why ESG. ESG helps organizations become responsible corporate citizens. It also helps to identify the high emission process and replace them with energy efficient measures. It also helps to contribute to India's net zero by 2070 vision. So, by far we have learnt about balancing people, planet, and profit. But who holds the scale? Who is going to ensure that the business continues its business without harming the planet? And that's when the chartered accountants, the superheroes, come into the picture. You must be wondering, how will a chartered accountant balance people, planet, and profits? Well, every superhero has superpower, right? Yes? Yes or no? So just like that, our chartered accountant also got a superpower. It's a toolkit. You must be confused. Seriously, Surbhi? Toolkit? Yes, a toolkit that will help protect the people, planet, and profits. Introducing the CA's ESG Toolkit. So let's unlock these powers one by one. Firstly, we have ESG assurance. So just like chartered accountants provide assurance on financial statements, ESG assurance means verifying the sustainability information and disclosure so as to ensure that they are accurate and reliable. Financial audit answers the question, did the business create value? Whereas ESG assurance answers the question, did the business create value responsibly? Now let's move on to carbon accounting. We all know the three golden rules of accounting, right? Yes? Very good. So in carbon accounting, we just debit the emissions and credit the reductions. In financial accounting, we record every rupee in and every rupee out. But in carbon accounting, we record every unit of carbon reduced and every unit of carbon released. But how do we do this? Firstly, we need to identify the sources of emission. Example would be electricity consumption, fuel usage, and travel, and so on. Next, we need to measure these emissions into standardized units. Further, convert these standardized units into carbon dioxide equivalents and then classify the emissions and finally prepare the carbon footprint report. As I mentioned here that we need to classify the emissions, we need to classify the emissions in scope 1, 2 and 3 emissions. So let's understand this with the help of a simple example. Suppose I start a coaching center and I have classrooms with facilities like projector, lights, AC, generator and so on. Students can either visit my institute physically or they can take classes online. Okay? So the scope 1, direct emissions, emissions from the fuel I burn myself. Example would be using a diesel run generator during power cuts. Example 2 would be I could be traveling to the institute with the help of a vehicle that uses petrol or diesel. Next, let's move on to scope 2, indirect energy emissions. And emissions from the electricity or energy I have purchased. Example would be electricity used in lights, AC or projector and so on. And finally, we have scope 3, value chain emissions. Emissions which are directly related to my institute but cannot be controlled by me. Example would be students traveling to my institute could be using a vehicle, metro or a bike to travel to the institute. Next, let's move on to green finance. Green finance is actually routing all your money into sustainable projects. A very recent example would be our State Bank of India signing a deal with a French development agency to receive funding exclusively for renewable projects. SBI would further online these projects to solar panels or EV infrastructure and so on. And lastly, we have governance and board oversight. I believe that even if a company has brilliant ESG strategy, it would be of no use if there is no governance to ensure that it actually happened. A very recent example would be of HDFC Bank, where after its merger, wanted to strengthen its oversight panel so as to monitor the risk, compliance, and sustainable practices across all its subsidiaries. So now that we have understood the what and whys of ESG, let's understand how. How will a company report this? And that's when the ESG reporting frameworks come into the picture. In India, we have the SEBI's Business Responsibility and Sustainability Reporting, which mandates top 1,000 listed entities to provide disclosures on key sustainability metrics. Globally, we also have other frameworks such as Global Reporting Initiative, Task Force on Climate-related Financial Disclosures, United States SEC Climate Disclosure Rules, and so on. With so many frameworks, there arises a challenge of uniformity and standardization. And this takes us to the challenges involved in ESG reporting and adoption. So number one, we have greenwashing. Greenwashing is when companies claim to be sustainable, but in reality, their actions and the claims don't match. A very recent example would be of Deutsche Bank's asset manager being fined for exaggerating its green claims. This is why transparency is essential in ESG reporting. And this is also why even Indian companies are aligning their ESG initiatives with global standards. Let us look at them one by one. Firstly, we have Tata Group. Operating across diverse sectors such as IT, aviation, energy, consumer business, Tata faces major challenge, that is standardization of sustainability data across all its operations. So to tackle this, Tata first developed a group-wide ESG governance framework and then implemented digital ESG reporting practices and also aligned its reporting requirements with the global framework. Next, we have Reliance Industries. Being a petrochemical giant, Reliance has always had legacy of high emissions, and adoption to this green transition was the most complex task. So how did Reliance do that? Firstly, it set a net zero by 2035 target. It built solar gigafactories and also implemented clean energy initiatives. Lastly, we have Infosys. Infosys is a major IT service providing company. The challenge it faced was that majority of its carbon emissions were from scope 3 emissions, that is from employee travel and value chain. So to tackle this, Infosys developed a vendor sustainability scorecard. To conclude, I would say that the world is not moving towards sustainability. Well, it is sprinting. So when someone asks you, where do the CAs fit in the future? Remember, the future is sustainable, digital, and accountable. And that future needs us, the chartered accountants, us, the superheroes. I thank you so much. You have been a lovely audience. Nandri Vanakkam Chennai.